everybody. Welcome back to another new episode of the Last Wave Podcast. If you're new here, we deal with topics like ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, the paranormal, pretty much everything in between. Today I am joined with my part-time co-host, Buster.
What's good, fellas?
We are going to go over a very interesting topic today. We're going to dive into dreams and, just a little bit about them and where they come from and our thoughts on them and what they can show us, what they mean for us, and pretty much just anything kind of on the paranormal esque side of dreams. Um, Dreams are very powerful, are they not?
Oh gosh, like first you must understand and define what is a dream. Like, what is a dream? There's the waking world, and then there's this other side of reality that we understand as dreams. It's a phenomenon, really.
Yeah, it truly is. I mean, there's no real way to describe your mind, so to speak, going to a completely different place or coming up with some absurd scenario for no realistic reason.
Mm. It's like when you dream, you're tapping into your subconscious. So it's like, are we understanding? We're just understanding ourselves through these dreams or something.
I think that could be true. Much of what we see as far as our body, scientifically, as far as what we take in, is visual. So it would make sense that the most realistic way to try to get ourselves to deal with inner things would be to give us a visual representation in the form of dreams, which would be more of, I guess, the scientific part, the scientific description of a dream. But then you also have the metaphysical part of, could this be related to a past relative or a star sign or, the future?
Like,
So,
what triggers these types of different experiences?
right.
That's what's so profound, is trying to like understand how our sleep screen on our computer happens while we're not at the keyboard, so to speak.
Yeah. So what's there when we're not, or where are we? Are we and I've been stuck on, I believe I texted you, duality a lot lately, and um, you know the inner, if it's almost like an inner being and an outer being. It feels like two, joined into one. And when we dream, it's almost like that two of one can be separated. I know I was talking with you about the quantum entanglement
Mm-hmm.
and the cord, and when you have two atoms and you separate them by however long the record distance is now, they have a cord between them, and that always connects them. And that's almost exactly what is reported when people do astral projection, and they
Right.
have that cord.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to disconnect your silver cord, is what they say when you astral project. That's your way to be back home. So it's almost like we are something that is entangled together, and you can call that mind and body and soul. Who
So
knows?
what if that cord was really a chain?
Yeah, I mean it could be. Uh, that's a strange thought. I think you really get into the prison planet theory with that. Like, um, I don't want to call out the religions. I think it's Mormons. Is it the ones that have the archons and they like inhabit our bodies and we're like here to be in prison? Something along those lines.
I don't.
My
I
goodness,
mean,
don't quote me on that,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
there is a prison planet, a prison planet theory that we're
Mm-hmm.
here, for that reason, and that's is where our souls go to experience things instead of being in the enlightened realm.
Or you could, think Scientology and there'd be like the loose monsters, the loose archons taking
Yeah.
all of our dark energy and whatnot. But how far fetched is anything anymore? So,
Yeah, that's the scary part is things are, even if you take a dream and just the modern day, um, just we're losing a correlation between the real world and what's real, what's fake, what's a dream, and that is honestly kind of dangerous.
yeah, no, you blending fantasy and reality. I mean, that's insane to the point of like, I mean, what is this?
Yeah.
And then also you want to get into the dreams. Like let's get even more technical. Like DMT. We got to talk about this DMT substance.
Well, I know DMT does a lot to open your mind, and almost one some would say take away that veil, and that's what it's really like. And because of the way our senses are set up, we see what we see. But there
What
is,
like our senses interpret this vast majority that we can only obtain a fraction of,
yeah, very small amount.
and it's painted up in such a wild way, man.
Yeah.
Like miraculously, like we're able to actually see this way,
Hmm.
but we're trying to decipher what our senses are telling us
Yeah. That
consciously.
yeah, and it's 100% of the time. I mean, even if you close your eyes, plug your nose, plug your ears, you still have a sense going.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
Then there's the sixth sense.
yeah, then there's definitely ESP and Sixth Sense, and like with your I don't know what your energy is, but the reason we keep having different backgrounds during the podcast whenever Buster's here is because I can't get nothing to work. So he's probably bringing a strong aura or something. So there's again, it's that combination of the real world and the fantasy world and a waking state, and there's a lot of people questioning the whole nature of their reality.
Yeah, like that's. I mean, is that not the apocalypse?
Yeah,
The unveiling.
the unveiling.
The
That's right.
unveiling. Yeah. So, but DMT. Like
Yes, DMT.
this is a remarkable chemical,
Hmm.
and this gets back to the old parables of the Bible about the land of milk and honey, I think. But that goes into like the raising of the chrism oil, and I guess you could call it the kundalini
Hmm.
in more modern terms. But like that right there is the natural state of awareness,
Hmm.
is this DMT and serotonin crucifixion.
Yeah, like that's the spot where we're supposed to be. Um, but well, what is funny? I actually just learned this in recent years. I know we've probably talked about this 100 times, but the whole DMT thing. The DMT is found in high concentrations in acacia trees and acacia
Trees.
wood, and the burning bush that Moses uh, talked to God through was an acacia tree.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is why I got caught up that one evening on the Ark of the Covenant being a metaphor for the human or the human mind,
The human mind.
because it's built out of acacia wood, and it spoke through the center, and it had the core, basically where you would say your pineal gland, your brain even, and it, tilted sideways would mimic a human's
Yeah,
head.
and just like most architecture of antiquity, it had mimicked the human body.
Mm.
And
it had 100 different meanings apparently.
oh, of course, of
Its
course.
measurements were exactly the ratio to
Yeah,
some kind of shenanigans.
and it's and even all these different body parts and lengths and heights all are based off of the golden ratio.
Yeah.
Even at that variance.
Yep.
And it's kind of ironic that the base of the temple, wherever you walk in, is the feet,
Mm.
and then as you progress deeper into the sanctum, you get into the Holy of Holies, which is ironically where the head of the place is, or for more known as the temple.
Mm. That's a good. Yeah, that's a good point. I guess I never thought about
The
that.
mind, like the brain,
Yeah.
what is up here, but right behind your eyes, your temples.
Yeah. I mean,
I
come
mean, it's
on.
not. It's literally
It
right
writes
there. It's
itself.
right in front of you, and
Shoot.
it's so close. Like, think about it. Why do they call it the soles of your feet? I mean, it's so obvious that it's so well hidden. But the DMT, this is what really has struck me as like the culprit of these dreams.
Yeah.
So we got DMT released when you're born, apparently, and DMT released when you die. So, I mean, somehow or another, that's related.
Yeah, you would think so. And again, it's almost like it's returning you to that natural state. Because nothing about our existence here is natural. Oxygen kills us at a very slow rate. Nowadays we're half allergic to everything. I mean, we're not. We are literally a plague to this planet. I mean, it makes
we have
sense.
become
Yeah.
a plague.
Yeah.
And that goes into the social engineering and conditioning of society, and just bad herd understanding and cooperation with Mother Nature.
Yeah.
How much further we run and fall from God every day is immeasurable, but it's just how they have come to corral the idea and the self-awareness of the individual mind.
Yeah, that's very well. That's very well said. I would agree wholeheartedly.
And, I guess the herd mentality, mob rules. If everybody's a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Right. Well, like so, I had never heard, which kind of blew my mind because of my age range. I had never heard of Woodstock '99, and that is a new documentary. It's on Netflix, and they tried to redo Woodstock, but they did it in 1999.
Oh, the riots, man.
Yeah, the riots.
Riots.
Man, I had never heard of that, and
well, of course they're not going to talk about it.
Well, yeah, I mean that is freaking crazy. Well, I mean, apparently they're not talking about it because everybody knew that they had messed up. Nobody wanted to take responsibility, but like it was awful, and you clearly see what happens. And I thought this was a great perspective on today. If you put people in a place and you're abusive to them, rather abusive and not good to them for a short period of time, they will revolt. Because none of those kids went there to tear shit up and burn stuff down. I don't believe that. They went there to have a good time. They were extremely mistreated. The bottle of water was like $5 in 1999 there. They took all their stuff when they went in. So they had no drinks, no food. It was on a abandoned airfield, so it was a tarmac. No, not a lot of grass.
Right.
It was like 100 and something degrees. The porta potties didn't work. All this stuff, but it was within a 3-day period, and then they exploded. If you look at today, that's why they do it a little bit at a time. If you want to ruin a society and you don't want people to revolt, you do it a little bit at a time. Because if you throw all this stuff at them in 2 or 3 days or a week, they'll turn.
Yeah.
So that is a perfect example of what is wrong with this country.
The
And people,
proletarian pip-po,
yeah, they don't see, if we're the frog in a boiling pot that's slowly getting hotter. We're just like, oh, this kind of sucks, but it'll probably go away. I'll forget about it. Like, I totally forgot of the whole we pulled out of Afghanistan thing. I totally forgot that was recent. That seems like 5 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's one
Like,
one thing or another, I mean, think about all the things we're not hearing about,
yeah, think about all the, like,
They cannot just be one thing happening. I mean, we're not fucking stupid.
yeah,
I mean, at least, some of us aren't. But, what do I know?
yeah.
But
We got
Afghanistan.
on yeah, even I can't even believe I totally forgot about that. But we're back on the topic of dreams. Now, I know you're a fan of discussing the Akashic record.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Akashic record, sir? Because I believe. Well, you go ahead. You go ahead.
The Akashic records.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say if we're all just one big consciousness, like we were talking about, the Big Bang being the birth of consciousness, and indeed the individual being a vessel for the viewing of itself subjectively through all eyes, that right there could very well, explain that.
Yeah, it could explain
Yeah.
the whole thing.
The reflection.
Yeah.
Like all we're doing is just like looking in mirrors.
Yeah.
Trying to understand ourselves.
I mean, it does seem that there is some kind of consciousness that is a whole. Like I think the best way I've heard it put is consciousness is the only thing that is the only living thing in the universe. Like,
yeah, there is one mind.
There is one mind.
And
yeah.
you know about the ultimate deity in the H.P. Lovecraft universe.
If it's not Cthulhu, probably not.
No, Cthulhu is like but a peon, man.
Yeah.
Like there are these old ones, the old gods, and ironically, the most powerful of them all was like he had some like ridiculous name, but it was like the dumb sleeping god. That was like his ultimate type. You're like, well, I mean, how could this ultimate being have that name? But it's like apparently it is asleep. It doesn't even know that it is, but it is actually generating the reality. It is generating us. We are a part of the dream.
Wow.
We are its dream.
That's wild. Lovecraft didn't just come up with that crap either.
I mean, of course not. That was channeled, if anything.
Yeah, he had like fever dreams, and his first draft came because he was a weird cat. Like he had like these weirdly high fevers, and I can't remember if he was allergic to a lot of stuff or something, but he was not normal as is. And then he had this fever dream one night, and got up and basically was auto writing. Like he said, at the end of it, he looked and it was written. It was like the first draft for one of those, and it was because it came to him in a dream. So he didn't just like say, "Oh yeah, this would make a cool story." He dreamt that, and if we're gonna talk on that level of dreaming, to where you see like, I've never seen entities like tentacled god entities, as far as I know, as far as I remember. Like
because I mean, if they were sinister, they wouldn't let us remember.
Right. Well, that's true. But he apparently seen all that in a dream, and if we're going to talk about that level, then I mean, I think there's more to the H.P. Lovecraft stuff
than meets the eye.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I told you, I've been hooked on that Charles Fort stuff lately, the Book of the Damned. And what it is by damned, he means more or less things that just don't make sense. And he talks about all these like rainfalls of fish, insects, weird stones, weird health stones, just fluid. I mean, just weird stuff that rains, and it's just things that don't make sense. And he proposed there must be some great sea up there, that is just casually depositing random things, um, down there. Yeah, yeah,
Well, I mean, that goes back to the separating the waters from the waters.
yeah,
I mean, but that's a whole nother topic. But
yeah. That's a whole other
that's a
discussion
whole nother
episode.
topic right there. Yeah, but
But
for real, though, but that's just one way to look at it. Or there's something a little bit more sinister going on. I mean, there's something
well, it was like
afoot.
there was something else. It was something about the sound that comets make, or something along those lines. Some kind of sound that you can hear in space, and it sounds like um, whales. Like that's the sound in space. And they were saying that that is another part. I don't remember where I heard that, but that was the sound that you can hear in space, and that was another sign that there's water up there. That is the sound. So I mean that I kind of relate that to like
That's
if you're
wild,
this
man.
big, octopoid god entity or whatever, you would be making, Leviathan esque, aqua sounds.
Yeah.
And when we look at a star, it looks like we're looking through water.
Yeah.
It looks like we're looking
Like
up.
if you look at like an unadulterated lens focus in of a star, it looks like a light bulb underwater.
Yeah, it looks like we're seeing up through water. I mean,
It's freaking bonkers, man.
it's like, well, okay, so two good quotes from TV shows, and I know our buddy's really been talking about Westworld, and I'm gonna tell you, if you haven't watched it, you need to watch it.
I really want to watch it.
It's super good. You can have my login.
On what?
Oh, it's on HBO Max.
Wow.
Oh, that's right. You don't have internet,
What?
so you're kind of SOL on that one. But
On HBO Max?
yeah, but
I'm like, we'll figure it
Westworld is fantastic, and it tells you a lot of truth drops. And one of the main questions of that show that they keep asking each other, because it's about these androids, and it's like, have you ever questioned the nature of your reality? And that is just like the whole theme of the show. And now it's the whole theme of what's happening, around us today, as people are starting to wake up and question. And people, like you said, are starting to have these dreams.
Yeah,
and
dreams, man.
they're starting to get messages and all kinds of crazy stuff.
That has been a motif through a lot of our culture, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything's related to something that had to do with dreams.
Yeah, I mean, and you, like you said, that group, the group consciousness, they, um, that happens. Like you'll see people whenever there's going to be a great tragedy, people have dreams of it beforehand, and it's just this group. I kind of feel like it's a stream almost, like the Akasha Records, like a stream, or there's some kind of stream out there, and then when you can tap into that, you're literally just like with a net, just like trolling for stuff, and you catch random things.
You catch something out in the stratosphere.
Yeah, out in the stream of consciousness.
Yeah, man.
I mean, maybe that's why they call it a stream. I mean, just like we were breaking down earlier, like the way what things are called.
It's like literally it's painted up right in your face.
Yeah,
like
they're
right
called
there.
that for a reason. Like Jordan Maxwell was always killed me when he said, "Why do they call it a bank? Because it directs the flow of currency, like a river bank."
Currency.
Yeah.
River bank.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's right there.
You start breaking stuff down, and it's like, oh, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, but that's why you get spelling,
Yeah, spelling.
Spelling.
Yeah.
I mean, wording.
Yeah. So we'll see. We've gone over the Akashic record, which I do agree. I think it is either a literal stream of consciousness, or it's like this just, I don't know, esoteric, etheric knowledge center, like a consciousness.
If the being or whatever this entity is, the dumb god that we are,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, like, so if it exists outside of time, then it should have access to everything that would have been, is, and would be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you can tap into something that exists outside of the confines of the dimension of time, then what would the difference be?
Yeah,
it could not be affected by it.
Yeah, it would be irrevocable. It would be not important. Huh. It's good stuff to digest and think about. Earlier we touched a little bit on astral projection. Um, I still, I feel like there's a little bit more to dive into with that, and like I said, with that stream, and like, what do you think about the people that can do remote viewing? Like, you find that a form of astral projection? You know, the remote viewing where like you're supposed to be like a spy or whatever, you can see something that's in a room somewhere in Russia. You know?
Yeah, I mean that would be pretty wild to witness. But I mean, it very well could be a transmitted astral projection through the collective consciousness
Yeah.
somehow. I don't know. It's very very intriguing to think about.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, you talk about astral projection. I feel like I could have had one the other night, or if it was just a lucid dream, I'm not sure. But lately, I've been having these like wild ass dreams that have just had me, just really questioning things. And I was uh, I was always coming across the same motif growing up with the mirror aspect of a dream. Like, can you find yourself in a mirror? Like,
Mm.
if you find a mirror in your dream, because as soon as I become lucid, I'll start looking for mirrors.
Yeah.
And as soon as I find a mirror, I'll fly through it.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I like go through the mirror, everything just changes. Like the whole feeling that I have of being there just changes.
Hmm.
Like, it's a very weird sensation. But what could it mean?
Yeah.
That's what's
What could it mean?
ridiculous.
Well, the the whole mirror thing is a well known in the paranormal field, a well known form of a portal, obviously, and you have that in obviously popular culture with not only Alice in Wonderland, but you have it with Neo in the Matrix when he went through the mirror, and that is a portal. There was even it wasn't Ghost Adventures, I don't think. It was one of the ghost shows where these guys, maybe Ghost Asylum, one of them, but these guys had draped a metal frame or like a metal mesh over a mirror
Mm.
and then hooked their electrodes to it. And then at one point during the night, they actually recorded the electrodes going off and the mesh moving, like something went through it, either in or out of the mirror. So that is a well-known form of making a portal, but also, um, like I've been working with the scrying, with with the bowl of water, and like I said, if you sit outside and you see in the bowl of water, you're looking down, you can see like the canopy of a tree behind you, and by doing that, you're not supposed to see that. That's like part of the no one on earth should be able to see that because no one's looking at it. So I think by doing that, you're kind of breaking the code, and you start to get visions and whatnot. So I'm pretty sure that's pretty much what Nostradamus did is scrying. So by entering that kind of trance dream state, you're almost right there somewhere on the stream. Sometimes you get stuff, sometimes you don't, and it's almost like that's a part of the whole dream state. The whole lucid dreams, waking dreams, sleep paralysis. Even you start to just break the code a little bit. You start to go where you're not supposed to, like in a video game.
Peeking behind the veil.
Yeah, you're clipping into like a wall in video game. Like that's pretty much that's how I see it,
Mm.
and uh, it's very possible that maybe this world is meant for us not to be able to break that wall. So the people that have broken those walls throughout history have been the ones that were ridiculed. Like Nostradamus, who had to write in obscure freaking codes because he would have been hanged or burned alive.
Right. Well, then that goes into the controllers and stuff,
Yeah.
Mm. But that's another topic. But
so with dreams, what do you think? Uh, what do you think dreams can do as far as seeing, as far as future events? and prophetic events. What are your thoughts?
And if we talk about making these collective efforts at seeing things and manifesting things, like, who knows? Like, whatever someone, makes happen, brings into reality, however it be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's these things called tulpas.
Tulpas.
Yeah, and it's basically a thought form, but it's enough people think about something, it makes it into a reality.
Yeah.
Some people think that's what Bigfoot is. Like if just enough people are thinking about that Bigfoot's real, it can manifest itself.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it sounds.
Is
I don't
that
know.
is that not damn like summoning?
Yeah, I mean that's it. All seems like if you could put it under the same umbrella if you tried. It's almost all kind of attached because you're kind of summoning. You're also spelling, so you're doing magic. You're also manifesting with your own mind, and you don't even know if it's a physical creature or
So
not.
if you're gonna see it if you want to see it, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that to me, and again, you start pulling these threads and things end up connected. But that to me is why we have the news situations that we do, where it's like we were talking about at the very beginning. We're just living through events. We're not even living. We're just surviving the next big thing that happens. You know, um, and that keeps us distracted. And if we can
Bread and
not,
circuses.
yeah, bread and circuses. That's right. That is exactly right.
Bread and circuses.
Bread and circuses. And if we could come together and get on the same page, which I think a lot of people are trying to do, and actually awaken and enlighten ourselves, then we'd be all right. But that's what they're trying to stop, and they see it coming and growing, and that's why we're getting all of the 24-hour news cycle.
So, what do you think these crazy dreams and phenomena have anything to do with this CERN tampering?
I think I don't know if it's so. I don't know what the hell CERN is, and I don't think you know.
I don't think they know either at this point.
Well, here's the problem. CERN is its own entity, and I didn't realize that. But like legally, CERN is its own thing. No country owns CERN or oversees it. I don't think. I'm not exactly sure, but no country owns it. I'm like, how does that get funded? The most advanced machine in human history get funded,
And it's not owned by any
not
country.
owned by any country, and they're looking at making an even bigger one just to smash atoms together, just to see. Just to
Just to
see
see.
is the best outcome. The worst outcome is everything that we've heard that could happen.
Yeah.
There is no way in absolute hell that machine has been created and all that money and space and time been used just to look and see. That is absurd. If people are hungry and people have no homes, then that is absolutely the most ridiculous thing that the human species has ever done.
Just to look and see.
Just to look and see. There has to be another reason. There has to be. Has to be. I just can't. I can't fathom. Like, I think it's dumb that we send other countries, military relief when they are clearly not the good guys. But I can't imagine I can't imagine someone spending the amount of money that CERN would cost. I don't even know how much it would cost. It's got to be a
Probably
blank
don't
check.
want to know.
Yeah, it's a blank check. It's got to be. But someone is giving the okay for that. Someone is saying, yeah, sure, whatever you want to spend, whatever kind of electronics you need, whatever kind of electronic ore needs to be mined by 10-year-olds in Africa, whatever we need to get it done, we'll
That's
do.
wild. Okay, so the debt builds up because somebody wants to build it up, and
Yep.
then the people pay for it with the debt money. So we essentially are the ones paying for their debt.
Yeah, we pay for a lot of people's debt, except our own.
Yeah.
But we're off topic. Where were we? Dreams.
That's
Dreams.
the American dream, baby. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever.
Uh, dreams. I think dreams do have a lot of power. I know we've talked, you and I, for years about dreams and things, and I think that dreams have whatever they are. They have a lot of power, and some could be metaphors, some could be legitimate, some could be exactly what's coming, some could be just nonsensical and something your mind cooked up. But I think they're an important way that our mind or our consciousness interacts with us. I guess you could say.
It's gotta be some kind of communication.
Yeah, because I mean, there's really no point for us to have dreams. If we're sentient, okay, but we sleep. Excuse me, we sleep and we get up and we go. There's really not any realistic point for us to have dreams. So
Maybe the point is finding out. Finding out. You know.
finding out the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. But who knows
It's
what the point could be?
The great paradox, you know.
Yeah, the fact that we are conscious and sentient, but we also have no idea what we are.
Mm.
So that's the biggest thing about humans.
It's wild how I watched Prometheus last night.
the
alien.
Oh yeah, the one before aliens.
Now, what is the symbolism of that? Like the hierarchy of the gods. Like one day we would just so happen to be going down the Greek rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And we went down through the pantheon, and we learned that it stemmed from chaos. Everything came from chaos. That, like, let's say chaos is a Greek word for their idea of the primeval, primordial God personified of chaos.
Yeah. So their idea. Yeah, you're right. The chaos is everything that made us. So like I see it's a background of a spinning space. That is the chaos. It's like, well, if we're gonna get real nerdy, the Warhammer 40K universe in their books they call it the chaos or the warp. I mean, it's the ethereal plane.
All the chaos is just anything that is not unbound.
Yeah.
Anything that is not harnessed in form.
Yeah.
Formless is chaos.
That's true. It's a good way to put it. It's a really, really good way to put it.
I mean, yeah, because if it's not structured, it's chaotic.
Yeah.
If it's not made like cellular, it's not structured. Therefore, it's chaotic.
Yeah. Like if all of our atoms decided just not to hold together one day, I think you just evaporate.
You become chaos.
Yeah. You're just gone, like the end of Avengers or something. I don't know, but
so you got chaos as like the original primordial being, and then came Uranus. Uranus, or however you want to potato it. He's the sky, right? Sky. He's one of the primevals, and then Gaia, which was the
Earth,
feminine, Earth. And then, of course, it's polar opposite, the divine masculine. There's your symbolism again, built into the pantheon.
Yeah.
And then you had the birth of the Titans. This is where it starts to get interesting.
Yeah.
Real interesting. So, the Titans. Cronus. That was like probably the most noteworthy character in this pantheon that I'm talking about. But he was the representation of Saturn. Time.
Yeah, because they call the things chronotons or whatever, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It revolves around Chronos.
Yeah.
Now, and this is where it's kind of confusing that I was rabbit holing on last night about like the usurpering, or however you conjugate that.
Yeah.
Of the throne of the different generations of gods, of descendants.
Hmm.
So it's like in Prometheus, the engineers, are they the Titans or are they the Olympians compared to us? I'm thinking they might be.
They're probably the Olympians in that scenario. I haven't seen that movie forever. I'd have to rewatch it.
Yeah,
I know they're kind of like the progenitor race, like the
Because you remember Prometheus, quote unquote. He brought the fire.
he stole
to,
the fire. Yeah,
Yeah. So in that case, like he gave us consciousness.
yeah, he stole
That's
the fire of the
fire of
enlightenment.
consciousness.
Yeah, we were enlightened.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny that guy, he could have very well just been Prometheus,
Yeah.
because he was punished, right?
Mm.
And what he did was in the movie, he took this little vial of like goo or whatever,
Yeah.
and I never could understand it, but he drank it, and then it looked like it infected him, and it obviously changed his DNA,
Mm-hmm.
and it like broke it down and then rebuilt it into something else. And I believe that right there was the symbolism for like he made the self-sacrifice to create a new version of itself.
Hmm.
And then it fell into the water and then dissipated into the water. And from the DNA that was seeded there, that's when it spread and became life as we know it today through that creation.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's what we were trying to put together.
Wouldn't that's a straight up theme too, because in Norse mythology, the giant Ymir, I believe, is the one that's slain, and his, or that sacrifice, his body is now what we live on.
Became
Earth.
Midgard.
Yeah, Midgard. And then Odin obviously self-sacrificed by hanging on the world tree. So there
to
is
learn
that.
the runes.
Yeah, to bring us knowledge and
the runes.
Yeah,
is
it's
that
always
the fire?
Yeah, I mean it's the fire, the enlightenment, the general knowledge. Same thing in South America. That's why they think it was either the Norse that went to South America, or the general pantheon of gods is your Odin, your Loki, your Thor, also known as Zeus, and it's Saturn, etc., 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 and then also known as um,
like the
Quetzalcoatl and Horus and Thoth, and even Krishna and Vishnu and
Shiva.
They're all, that's the wandering gods theory. So they just went around and brought knowledge. That's why we're all building the same temples.
The Son, Father, the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
It's always the three.
There's always
Mother, Father, and Child.
Yeah.
Son, Father, Holy Spirit, Mother, Father, and Child. And then that also goes back to like Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
And what's that dude's name? Nimrod.
Yeah.
Nimrod and Semiramis. You know about those stories?
Not in a long time.
Okay, so there's the original Nimrod, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was brought up as a Babylonian king, and his mother, Semiramis, Mother of God. That's where we get as modern day Madonna. The Madonna was the Mother of God. And now that's the theme that had passed down from Mesopotamia to what we now have as the Catholic Church.
Mm.
And that gets into like the Dagon.
Oh yeah.
And then like the reason why
that's a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah, like
a big one.
The Pope.
Where's that big ass hat?
Where's the hat that looks like a fish?
Yep.
Oh man, but the symbolism goes on and on for days. But also think about the Pope also has the pineal gland on his staff, getting back into the DMT and the acacia.
Very true.
But there's so many different directions that this could go, and how deep the rabbit hole really gets is just unmeasurable.
So, to wrap it up for this episode, what are your final thoughts on dreams? We're about 45 minutes just now, and that went by fast.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Dreams, I just think, I mean, we're all living the dream, you know. However you put it, I mean, there's a reason it's cliche, right?
Yeah.
This is true.
There's a reason things are cliche or called to what they are.
Mm-hmm. It's all built into the building blocks, and I feel like I feel like it's the greatest joke ever damn made, man. But
Yeah.
life's the dream. You got to go live it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, we do the best we can, whatever state we're in, and that's really all we can hope for. But everybody stay safe out there. Hopefully, stay away from the monkeypox and all that stuff. Keep your heads on a swivel and keep your heads up, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
All right, peace out, y'all.